9. Hang. Crackle, crack, crackle, spark. Mortimer, Hamish and I stood on the porch watching them. 9 apparitions dig, stab, prod, trying to pass the threshold that protects the house. Each one had a serrated scar around their neck. They were long-eyed, open-mouthed, willowy, and had spindly fingers that could reach around a throat and cut its life short with a snap. A figure looked at me. It tapped the threshold again. "Please let me in, sir," figure said. I looked at the figure as it transformed into a 30-something chubby man in a yellow shirt and jeans that were fastened neatly around his waist. His feet formed into a pair of brown open-toe sandals. "Sir, my family and I are guests at your house. It is custom for you to allow us to enter." Mortimer growled. "Agreed, old friend." Mortimer barked. "One at a time. I will permit you entrance," I said. The apparitions hummed, flying around the house, sparking the threshold as their spindly fingers tapped it. The man stared at me. Yellow teeth gritted. He watched. I kept my gaze on him. His expression softened. "Of course, gatekeeper," he said. "I will be first. My name is Anil. I am the eldest." I touched my heart and took a step back. Anil looked at the first step on the porch. He lifted his foot, placing it gingerly on the step. Zip. He became corporeal. The other apparitions darted at the entrance. Slam, 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 slam. They recoiled as they bounced off the threshold. Burn. One set on fire. It burned bright blue. I watched it streak across the ground like a shooting star. Divine fire. The apparition shrieked as it spun, attempting to smother the flames. "The flames will only recede once they have finished their task," I said. Anil looked at his burning companion. "Ditya, my daughter. Her mother spoiled her." Anil turned to me. I gestured to the entrance. "Mortimer will show you in." Mortimer entered the house, followed by Anil. Tick, spark. Tick, tick, spark. I looked at Hamish, who kept his eyes on the other apparitions zipping around the house, tapping at the threshold. Tick, tick, spark. Hamish turned and darted inside the house. I followed to see him scoot upstairs. I entered the lounge to find Anil sat in the armchair. I slid into my armchair. Mortimer was already at his usual spot, on the rug beside the fireplace, head on paws. He watched Anil. "You like the rope mark, huh, gatekeeper?" Anil said. He pulled his collar wide to expose the serrated skin around his neck. 9 members of a family hung in the same house. "Remarkable," I said. "My doing. I was selfish and Mama's favorite. I took what was rightly my younger brother Sunil's house." I peered at Anil, who lifted his right ankle and placed it on his left knee. His foot was calloused, worn from walking in sandals. It happened after Sunil and Tara got married. It was the usual pomp of an Indian wedding. It lasted 7 days. Everyone celebrated. Tara and Sunil were to spend their first night at my papa's house in Delhi. Then they would have moved to their own home, bought for them by Papa, which was further down the road. It was but 5 minutes' walk from Papa's house. Anil squished his index finger and thumb together. I watched him do that a few times. I put a stop to it because their home was mine. I was the eldest, and I should get the first say. I spoke to Papa and Mama, and they decided that I was right, so they waited for Sunil to bring Tara home. Then they told him. Sunil and Tara were both upset, but they complied, as they do not have a say. Sunil did not speak to me for the rest of the evening. Both he and Tara spent the evening in their room. I told my wife Rita that we need to make amends. So, she suggested cooking for everyone. That is the usual way to bring a family together. Gatekeeper. Anil smiled. his teeth exposed, discolored from all the chewing tobacco. They sharpened for an instant. My eyes were on Anil, but I focused. At my center, I reached out like tentacles feeling around my house. Delocalized perception. I could hear it. The other apparitions were trying to break in. I sensed the nooks and crannies of the house. They groaned. The doors flexed. The corridors hummed. And then I felt it. An intruder had got in through a tiny hole beneath the windowsill on the side of the house. I followed it. It snuck into my living quarters. Hamish bobbed into the lounge and looked at me. I nodded. He scampered off. Mortimer got up, growling at Anil. "Control your dog, gatekeeper," Anil said. His eyes bled. Blood dripped down his cheeks on both sides. "Remain seated and you will be safe," I said. I told Rita to go buy Jiva sleeping tablets from the local mart. Lots of them. Then I went to my friend's house. He was a builder's merchant, and he gave me a big reel of long, heavy-duty jute rope. I told him I had to move heavy furniture upstairs, so he borrowed me his electric hoist. Rita ground up the tablets into powder and then added it to the curry like masala. Everyone ate, filling their stomachs. The plan was that Rita and I will hang too, but we will call a friend to come by and he will get there just in time to save us. Once all of them had eaten, my whole family, they slept. Starting with my brother, I tied the rope around his neck, swung it over the rafters, and tied it off at the hoist cable. With the press of a button and a grinding sound, he was in the air hanging. Not a sound. He was choking, but he was asleep. It would be funny if he woke up, but he didn't, Anil said. He sniggered again, exposing his yellow, sharp teeth. I did the same to the rest, one by one, all of them hung. Rita was last. I told her to keep her fingers inside the rope so she doesn't choke. She did. I swung her up and tied off the rope. I did the same after I hit the hoist beneath the floorboards. I hung myself. My friend was due, but he never came. Idiot. He was with his wife and he forgot. He was a little late. Too late, I said. Anil nodded, showing me the serrated rope marks on his neck again. You did not feed sleeping tablets to your children and then hang them, I said. Anil sniggered. His teeth sharpened, eyes elongated on the outsides, as did his smile. No. I knew my story would not work with you. Did you think I could not see you, Sunil? Oh ho ha, you knew me all along, Sunil said. Your lie has determined your door, I said. Anil stood, transforming into a petite Asian man with a pink shirt and jeans. He looked like Anil, but more gaunt, as if he were burning from the inside. Mortimer growled. It is all true, gatekeeper. Anil took my house, mine. He already had a house, but he wanted mine too, greedy bastard. My parents did nothing but support him. He's the oldest son, so we should listen to him. What nonsense, Sunil said. Sit down for your own safety, I said. No, you will listen to me. I demand respect, Sunil said, his form elongating with every burst of sound. Mortimer pounced on Sunil, knocking him down. Fight. He sunk his teeth into Sunil's neck. Sunil squealed. Mortimer is not one for deception. Take him to Angelus, I said. Mortimer dragged Sunil out the room by his neck. Please. I remained seated watching the entrance. Angelus, a demon who dwelled beyond the third door on the left in the basement. He will be pleased to have another disciple who has already murdered 9, including himself. I was thinking of what to do with the others. Hey, I looked up. My wife Keely stood at the entrance. Keely? I stood up. Seeing Keely flooded my mind with memories. You love her. This will be fun, Tara said. She launched at me, slamming a claw into my midriff, winding me. I doubled over. Slam! Her elbow slammed my jaw, twisting it, buckling my knees. I fell. Slice! Tara's claw cupped open my face as I hit the lounge floor. Fight back! Fight back! I heard a whisper in my mind. Whack! Whack! Slice! Whack! Whack! Slice! Slice! Tara's claws ripped my face. Blood burst out. Slam! An elbow cracked my temple. I gazed at her. She sniggered, smiling with Keely's smile. I knew this was not my wife. She was destroying me, but I could not bring myself to hurt my wife. My eyes began to close. She dug her claws deep into my ribs. My eyes shut. Fight! I felt Tara lift off me, followed by a thudding sound. I turned to see Tara held on the floor by a strong hand gripping her throat. Blonde streaked hair shimmering as her other hand slammed Tara's face repeatedly. Whack, whack, whack. She turned to me. Cerulean eyes blazed. Get up, Keely said. My eyes began to close again. Just hold on, I'm coming. Hamish, Keely said. I watched as she shoved her fist into Tara's heart. She leaned in to Tara's face. I can do this too, Keely said. Rip. She pulled out a translucent ball from Tara's torso. Tara screamed as she shriveled, disintegrating. Keely offered the orb to Hamish. Know where this needs to go? She said. Hamish nodded. Keely released the orb. It just hung mid-air as if Hamish had an invisible hand that held it in front of him. He walked out the room, taking Tara with him. Keely came over. Hey, you. Keely crawled to me and took my head into her lap. She wiped the blood on my face with her fingers. Pulling her grey hoodie sleeve to her palm, she dabbed the reddish-blue liquid from my face. What the hell is wrong with you? I looked at her and smiled. You came. You're such an ass. She was going to kill you, and you were going to let her. Hamish entered the lounge, a vial with what looked like blue ice hung from a ribbon around his neck. Thank you, Keely said. She untied the ribbon and took the vial. Uncorking it, she held it to my lips. Divine Mother will have words with you later. Drink, Keely said. I gulped the liquid. Keely raised the bottle, emptying it fully in my mouth. I swallowed. It burned as if a small sun had been ignited in my gut. I exhaled with it. The deep gashes in my torso blistered as ice blue fire burned them. Gashes on my face blistered on the inside. Bits of blue ice popped out as they melded my skin together, and then it dispersed. 2 blinks later, I was whole again. Healing properties of divine fire. Keely watched me sit up. You knew the windowsill was exposed, didn't you? She said. I took her hand and clasped it. Glad you came. She nearly destroyed you, Nape, Keely said. You didn't let her. She stood up. I have to get back. You're still reckless. Stay, as long as you can. At least. Please? I looked at her. Oh, I'm going, but only after I watch you plug the hole beneath the windowsill. I smiled. Come on, Keely said. She offered her hand. I took it as I stood up. She took my other hand. We stood close. Her eyes and mine were linked by a transparent thread. Within her, I saw an orb radiate deep within. It glowed the same as that of the Divine Mother's, only not as large. He leaning forward. I looked down. Our lips almost touched. You know I can't stay. She tiptoed and kissed me. A surge of energy buzzed through my body. How I miss my wife. Got to get back to Bub. She looked at me. I love you, I thought. A whisper came back. I love you too. Be patient. Please. Bub and I both need you. Don't screw this up. Keely stepped back. Let me fix the hole. Mortimer is waiting, I said. She smiled. She followed me out the lounge, turning left, walking past the twin staircases. I stopped at the second door on the right. I looked at her as I unlocked the door, swinging it open for her. Keely walked down a corridor that opened to a wide living quarters at the other end. A large window with blue velvet curtains drawn faced her. She strode through the room that had a large king-size bed on the left with oak tables on either side, a candlestick on each one. The table closest to the window had an iron-framed photograph of her holding a chubby baby boy, both smiling, a natural image. To the right was a door beside a fireplace that burned a couple of wooden logs. The flames with candlelight gave the room a warm hue. Dusty. When was the last time you were in here? Keely said. Same as you, I said. She looked at me, then stroked the curtains and opened them. Through the window I saw the rolling ocean of black mist, coiling, twisting, sparking. Keely crouched down, exposing her brown Chelsea boots and white woolly socks. She tied her hair back into a ponytail, and then slid her fingers beneath the windowsill, touching it, moving onto her knees as she made her way down the sill. Here. She turned and looked at me, holding out her left hand. It had a slim iron bangle on it. I took her hand. She pulled me to crouch down beside her. She took my fingers and placed them beneath the sill. Frigid atmosphere seeped through. This is how she got in. Keely took her bangle off and placed it on the windowsill. The frigid atmosphere stopped, as if reacting to the iron. The warmth of the candle and fireplace filled the area around it. Keely stood up. This will hold it until you seal it off. I'll ask Hamish to see to it, I said. You got to be more careful, Nape. What if something happened to you? Have you forgotten about us? Our son? Remember what we promised each other? I nodded. I've almost forgotten what Bub looks like. I take it he's grown. He's running around now. He's like you. Reckless. I can see it in him already, Keely said. I looked at the window, black mist ever present. Just wanted to see you, I said. Keely took my hand. Hold on, just hold on, please. I promise I'll make more of an effort to get here and come and see you. I nodded. Keely wiped the water leaking from my eyes. I'll bring Bub too. Keely threw her arms around my neck and squeezed me tightly, as if she never wanted to let me go. She kissed me once more. She turned on her heels and strode out the door. She wiped her eyes as she left, turning left out the doorway. I closed my eyes. Her footsteps ascended the stairs. I strode out of my living quarters and turned left. I descended the stairs 2 flights down to the sub-basement. Straight opposite was the shimmering monolith, the gateway to the abyss. I turned right, and there Mortimer had Sunil pinned to the ground. Hamish stood beside him with the orb just ahead of his forehead. Tara, my apologies for keeping you waiting, I said. I opened the door where several towering figures with horns and black long fur stood waiting for me. Their eyes shone yellow, teeth protruded from their mouths. Beyond them, the chasm of a bubbling volcano with brimming heat. In the distance, silhouetted figures could be seen working the granite. I returned my gaze to the figure at the front of the others who looked at me. Greetings, gatekeeper. You have some neophytes for me, Angela said. 2 that showed tremendous potential to join your ilk, I said. Angelus grinned, his mouth open to expose another 2 sets of sharp teeth. I plucked the orb from Hamish and I tossed it at Angelus. He caught it with one hand and crushed it. Tara's apparition became corporeal. She stood there with us, her eyes widened at the look of Angelus. I thought I was dead. Material death, perhaps, but here in my home, you are as I want you to be, Angelus said. Mortimer got off Sunil. I grabbed his lapel and raised him to his feet. "Here is where you belong, for now," I said. I shoved him across the threshold. Angelus grabbed him and lifted him clean off his feet and inspected his eyes. "You'll do just fine." "Dig." Angelus shoved a fingernail deep into Sunil's eye, making it pop. "That's better." "Too pretty to be a demon," Angelus said. He shoved Sunil to the two large figures behind him. "Please, gatekeeper, have mercy," Sunil said. "Him. Mercy. Don't make me laugh, child." Angelus turned to Sunil and Tara. "You want revenge? Join me willingly, and soon we will take this house from him." Sunil held his eye. Gritting his teeth, he looked at Tara and then at me. He turned to Angelus and nodded. "How quickly you forget who brought you here, Angelus," I said. "You stand just beyond the line that divides pale and shade. Only gatekeeper, you have forgotten you stand in the shade with us," Angelus said. "I serve at the Divine Mother's behest," I said. "Not for long," Mortimer growled. Hamish stood beside him. "This is the beauty of a door," I said. And I closed it, shutting in Angelus's domain. "Hamish, could you please seal the hole in my living quarters?" Hamish trotted upstairs. I strolled upstairs, followed by Mortimer. I went outside and scanned the area for the remaining 6 apparitions. They were nowhere to be seen. Mortimer looked at me. "Black mist has claimed them." I returned to the lounge and sat down. Mortimer circled his rug and sat down. Head on paws, he closed his eyes. I watched the flames dance in the fireplace. Today was a close call. I would love to have seen my son. I hoped Keely would bring him. Maybe next time. Seeing Keely was worth it, despite the price being that the apparition's claws ripped my innards apart. Was I aware of the hole beneath the windowsill? This house is more a part of me than you might have guessed. Sometimes you have to hurt a little to get what you want. Only after you will know whether it was worth it or not. Today, having claws deep inside me, ripping my innards apart, was that worth just to see Keely again? The answer: I would do it again in a heartbeat. See you next Sunday at 11. Don't die in your sleep. Godspeed.